You don't want to eat that.
All right, y'all, we give praise, esteem, and honor to Abba and Shamim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Let's pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they will testify of me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in Abba's name, and you receive me not. But another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe but receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Because had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote it. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? All esteem and praise to Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. And let's pick this up in Revelation 1 and 9, or 1 and 4, I should say. John to the 7 assemblies which are in Asia, grace unto you and shalom from him which is and which was and which is to come, and from the 7 Ruach which are before his throne, and from Yahushua HaMashiach. Peace, each man. Peace, brother, on my mind. The faithful witness, the first begotten of the dead, and the prince of the kings of the earth, unto him that loved us and washed us from our own sins in his own blood, and have made us kings and priests unto Elohim his Abba. To him esteem and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Behold, he come with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they which pierced him, and all the kindred of the earth shall wail because of him. Even so, amen. I'm the Aleph and the Tah, the beginning and the end, saith the Lord, which is, which was, and which is to come, the Almighty. I, John, also, who am your brother and companion in tribulation, and in the Malkut for patience of Yahushua HaMashiach, was in the isle that is called Patmos for the word of Elohim, and for the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach. I was in the Ruach on the Lord's day, and I heard behind me a great voice as of a trumpet, saying, the Aleph and the Tah, the first and the last, and what you see, write in a book and send it unto the 7 assemblies which are in Asia, unto Ephesus, unto Smyrna, unto Pergamos, unto Thyatira, unto Sardis, unto Philadelphia, and unto Laodicea. Isaiah 4 and 1. After that, Jeremiah 15. After that, Revelation chapter 2. No, and I get you Isaiah 66. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Let us be called by your peace, 10K, by your name, to take away our reproach. So, of course, we're dealing with the testimony of the 7 assemblies and the prophets and the law. Of course, we'll look at Exodus 2 with that in a moment. But let's come over here to Jeremiah 15. Let's take a look at that. Dre, what's happening, homie? My nigga. 15 and 9. She that have borne 7 languished. She have given up the Ruach. Her sun is gone down while it is yet day. She have been ashamed and confounded. And the residue of them will I deliver to the sword before their enemies, saith Yahuwah. Now, of course, Yalad was the word for born, which is the word to give birth. So we're going to look at that in that aspect of how that come into Isaiah 4 and 1, how he is able to take away that reproach. Because, see, he wasn't able to take away that reproach until he had given up the Ruach. See, let's take a look at that before we get to Revelation back to. Let's come to John 19. And 28. After this, Yahushua, knowing that all things were now accomplished, that the scripture might be fulfilled, say, I thirst. Now there was a vessel full of vinegar. They filled the sponge with vinegar and put upon hyssop, put it to his mouth. And when Yahushua therefore had received the vinegar, he said, it is finished. And he bowed his head and gave up the Ruach. Now, y'all already know from Matthew, Luke, and Mark that it was dark because the sun had went down at about the 9th hour. So with that being said, let's come back to Revelation 2. We 2 and 8 with it. We in Smyrna. Peace, Sister Regina. And unto the Malachim of the synagogue in Smyrna write, these things say the first and the last, which dead and is alive. Now, of course, we already established that with the first and the last. What that looked like, we don't have to revisit that. But let's look at him which is dead and is now alive. Now, with that being said, we was in Isaiah 66, but let's go look at Matthew 16, because that's where we were going before the stream stopped. So now we went Matthew 16 with it. Because we want to add some more onto this, those who say they are Yahudim, so on and so forth. 16 and 20. Matthew 16 and 20. Then charged he his disciples that they should tell no man that he was Yahushua the Hamashiach. From that time forth he began Yahushua to show unto his disciples how that he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be killed and be raised again on the third day, because he is he that was dead and which is now alive. Now, we talked about that when we were in Isaiah 14, where he plainly said that before he could exalt his throne above the stars, that he would have to go down into the sides of the pit, which also went to what we were in Psalms when he said he took captivity captive and received gifts unto the men, even for the rebellious also, that Yahuwah Elohim might dwell, or to tabernacle with them. So again, this is he which is dead and is now alive. But let's go even further with it. And let's look at a framework of that, or where that was set. Let's come over here to Genesis chapter 2. Get out of there. Leave that alone, boy. What I said. Leave it alone. Genesis 2 and 15. No. And Yahuwah Elohim took the man and put him into the garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. Yahuwah Elohim commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat. Of the tree of knowledge and good and evil you shall not eat of it. For the day that you shall eat of it, you shall surely die. Let's take a look at that. Genesis chapter 3. Now, let me get die in that particular verse. Jamal, what you got going on, boy? Let's see if that's moved there for die, man. We'll just double check it. And it is. And that's moved. To die. To have one executed. To die. To die as a penalty. To be put to death. To die prematurely. By neglect of wise moral conduct. To kill. To be put to death. To be killed. To be put to death. To die prematurely. Son, I can't eat right now. I don't want that. Genesis chapter 3. Verse 6. And when a woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, the tree desired to make one wise, she took the fruit thereof and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them were both open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. Now, you know from verse 17 through 19 in this same chapter that he told them the dust you would come. See, at this particular point, he's dead, yet he's alive. Shalom, man. But not in the framework like what the Lord did. Now, I want to ask y'all a question. As it pertains to Revelation 2, when he says, I am he that is dead, but is alive. How would you be able to explain what we just looked at from Genesis 2, 15 to 17, and then reading Genesis 3, 6, and 7, and mentioning verses 17, 18, and 19, how Adam is foreshadowing that? How would you explain it? Would you even be able to explain it? Is it possible to be explained? That's the question. Oh, don't everybody rush at one time now. Ain't nobody want to take a crack at that. You get the time it take me to repost this here, I have an answer for you. If ain't nobody want to take a crack at it. And see, this is on my mind because of a conversation that was had as it pertains to Adam, or as it pertains to 1 Corinthians 15. I didn't hear all the conversation, I only heard a piece of it. So in Revelation 2:8, he says, I am he which is dead and which is alive. We just read in Genesis 15, 2, 15, 16, and 17, he said if he ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, he would surely die. That word move literally means to die, to be killed, to be executed, to die prematurely. But yet he ate from that tree, as you see, and he was punished that from the dust you are, and dust you will return, yet he was alive, even though he died. So how does this work? Now, obviously, the tree of knowledge and good and evil was a curse because it brought death. Now, Hamashiach has been made a curse for us, as it is written, cursed be he that hangeth from a tree. But what is the curse that he took on? It was the curse of the law. And what is the curse of the law? It is death. Now, he died and lived forevermore. Now, I get you. In death, in that particular verse in Hebrew is move, literal dying. Literal dying. Because we could tell from Genesis 4 that Adam wasn't cut off from Yahuwah. But he said he would die. So there's a foreshadowing that which slayed him, though he still lived. Now, of course, Adam did not die literally, but it's pointing to the death of the second Adam, literally, yet being alive. You understand? Just like as we can see how Adam gave birth as it pertains to Eve or Yasharal, if you would. So with that being said, let's come back to Isaiah 66 and 1. Matter of fact, I need to read 1 Corinthians 15 in that regard. That page ain't in my book. Hold on. 1 Corinthians 15, 37. Matter of fact, 35. But some will say, how are the dead raised up, and with what body do they come? And see, there's where the difference come in with the first Adam and the second, because he didn't resurrect from the dead. He was dead, yet he was alive. Do you think before Adam sinned, he looked like Moses and Stephen? Oh, no. Not in that regard. He say, fool, that which you sow is not quickened except it die. Now, when you look, of course, that Adam, when he was sown in the dust of the earth, he couldn't be a living soul unless he was dead, because he had no life in him, if you would. He say, that which you sow not that body that shall be, but bear grain. It may chance of wheat or some other. But Elohim giveth a body as it has pleased him, and to every seed his own body. All flesh, not the same flesh, but there is one kind of flesh of men, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, another of birds. Also, celestial bodies and bodies terrestrial, but the esteem of celestial one, and the of the terrestrial another. One esteem of the sun, another esteem of the moon, another esteem of the stars. For star differ from star in esteem. So also the resurrection of the dead, it is sown in corruption, it is raised in incorruption. Now Adam was sown in corruption, but again, he didn't die, so he couldn't be raised incorruptible. It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in esteem. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. It is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. There's a spiritual body, shalom, Brother Marcus, and there is a natural body and there's a spiritual body. And so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul. For the last Adam, a quickening ruach. So it's letting you know the first man was a living soul. Or, as you would sit back and you would say in Hebrew, I think it's going to be a kad nefesh, versus the second man being made a kai ruach, if you would. So again, you got a kai nefesh. Well, what's the difference? What's the difference between a kai nefesh and a kai ruach? Because John 4:24 tell you Elohim is a ruach. And all those that worship him must worship him in ruach and in truth. And ruachs don't die. But the flesh pass away. And that's the difference. Now, of course, when you see Mashiach raised from the dead, he say our spirit don't have flesh and bones as you see me have. And that takes into a different type of flesh. This being a celestial body, not one of the earth. But that's another conversation for another day. So, verse 46, 1 Corinthians 15, no sign. Howbeit, that was not which was not first, which is spiritual, but that which is natural, and after that, that which is spiritual. What's happening? The first man is of the earth, earthy. The second man is the Lord from Shamaim, as is the earthy, such as they that are earthy, and that Shamaim, such as those that are Shamaim. And we have borne the image of the earthy, we shall also bear the image of Shamaim. Now, see, that's the difference with Adam. He didn't bear the image of Shamaim. That's where it stopped. When he was he that was dead, and which is alive, because he didn't fulfill the perfection of the word. But nevertheless, Isaiah 66:1. Thus saith Yahuwah Shamaim, my throne, the rats my footstool, where the bot that you build unto me, where is the place of my rest? For all those things have my hand made, and all those things have been, saith Yahuwah. But to who will I look? But to this man will I look, even to him that is a poor of a contrite ruach, and tremble at my word. He that kill an ox as if he slay a man. He that sacrifice a lamb as if he cut off a dog's neck. He that offer the oblation as if he offered swine's blood. He that burned incense as if he baruched an idol. Yea, they have chosen their own ways, and their soul delight in their abominations. Now, we was having this conversation the last couple of days, right? And it pertained to my man's them talking about, do human beings have free will? Then we talk about that. Free will, by definition, is the ability to make decisions without constraint or concern of consequences of fate. Fate in regards to the intervening of a supernatural power. Shalom, Brother Ernest. So when you look at, in that strict definition, human beings don't have free will in that regard, because Yahuwah could intervene at any given time. But see, I think we were talking about, there's a Calvinist doctrine about preordaining and all this other stuff. I don't care about that. But what we do know is this. Amos 4 tells you that he declares to a man what his thought is going to be. You know what I'm talking about? We just read that we were about to read. He said he will give you over to a strong delusion that you should believe a lie. And you do have those who were chosen aforetime. And this is where it gets sticky for a lot of people. Because there are situations and circumstances that Yahuwah orchestrates to bring about his will. Case in point, he orchestrated that, what happened to Joseph, to get him in Egypt, because he knew what he was going to do later. Nevertheless, it was in the hearts of his brothers to do what they did to him. You know what I'm talking about? This is something in them that they wanted to do, and he made sure that they had the mind to do it. This also turns into where he said, blessed are those who endure temptation. For when they are tried, they shall receive a crown of life. But let no man say that he attempted an Elohim, because Elohim tempt no man with evil. But every man is tempted and drawn away by his own lust. And that's where it gets sticky for a lot of people. You know, he told you he'll give you over to your desires and he'll see what your end is going to be. Then he'll give you a reprobate mind. We talked about that last week. When you read Romans 1 and 28, he said, because they didn't like to retain Elohim in their knowledge, he gave them over to a mind to reject him. So again, it still is going to come down to this one key component, that was the desire of the individual to begin with. You know what I'm saying? And we also had this conversation. Of course, you know, he said he will try you in the furnace of affliction. He searched the heart. He tried the reins. He do all of these things. But in the midst of him trying you, testing you, and proving you, he give a way out. In every temptation, he said, there's no temptation uncommon all unto man, but in every temptation, he give a way out. And I can guarantee you, every single individual here this evening can look at a time when you were in a temptation of a lust that you had, and there was an exit strategy, and you didn't take it. Even for the wicked, this man give an exit strategy. It's up to the wicked to take that exit strategy. There's always an exit. Because see, then when he judges you, he can be fair and just in his judgment because he gave you a way out. And you declined. Oh, you want to believe lies? I'll let you believe them. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, you want to do this? You want to do that? I'm going to give you a mind, and you could do that. Because that's what you want to do anyway. Remember, he said when he calls them to bring a strong delusion in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, he says, because they took pleasure in unrighteousness. This is what he said. And they had not a love for the truth. So again, it's already an innate desire in that individual to begin with. So of course they're going to make that decision. Of course he's going to put you in the situation that he know you want to do anyway. So he can kill two birds with one stone. He can bash you across your head, and he can fulfill whatever he want to fulfill. The same way if he put a righteous man in a situation, he already know that that man is going to do what is godly to bring about what he want done. You know what I'm saying? Like he told you, he searched the hearts. He do an examination. You don't think he knew that Joseph had a heart to not sleep with his master's wife? Of course he did. He know this man already know his heart, know what he will do and what he won't do. And that's what most people don't want to be in, is they don't want to be put in a situation where the heart gets revealed unto men and before heaven so they can either be justified or condemned. So you'd rather walk around with your heart covered so nobody would know. But see, that's the beauty of Yahuwah. He going to put you in a situation so everybody can see what's in there. So everybody can see it. He already can see it because everyone is naked and open to him whom we have to do. But man don't know you wicked as hell. Yeah, they don't like that. He said that's where that said in Proverbs 19:3 comes in when you make those choices. Well, let's look and see what that say. Let's say the foolishness of a man pervert his way and his heart fret against Yahuwah. Well, let's look at what fret is. Now we know what is this foolishness. This is everleft. This is folly. This is silliness. The silliness of Adam is going to pervert his way. Pervert in this instance is salah, to twist, to pervert, to overturn, to turn upside down, to ruin. So the folly of man is going to ruin his darak or his way of life. Because that's what darak is, your way of life. Your foolishness will ruin that. And now when you looking at fretting, that's za'af. Zayin, ayin, and pay. To fret, to be sad, to be vexed, to be enraged, to be angry. So because you stupid and you choose to be stupid, now you mad with God because you stupid. And this is the thing too. Do he make vessels unto dishonor? He sure do. But these individuals already have a mind in the heart to rebel against this man. You know what I'm saying? Look at how Cain was mad with Yahuwah because of the folly of his way. Look at how Esau was mad because of the folly of his way. Look at how these people operate because of their folly. See, we don't like to talk about that. See, people would rather say God made me this way, so when you go to hell, you can blame him. Now, he didn't make you no faggot. He ain't make you no adulterer. He ain't make you no whoremonger, because those are your, let me get that, James, man. See, them your lusts. See, niggas don't like to hear that. That's what you like to do. There was another back part of that conversation. We didn't talk about this plenty of times. Never ever in the book at any time did Yahuwah say he would intervene in man's affairs. You know what I'm saying? It's very rarely that he's actually done it. No, he not finna stop no murders. No, he not finna stop no sexual assaults. No, he not finna stop no child molestations. He never said he would. He never indicated that he would. So we get upset because we want him to do that. He never said that. You think that's what God's supposed to do. Stop all pain, suffering, troubles, and things of that nature. He never said that. When Ammon did that to Tamar, he didn't intervene. When Sechem did that to Dinah, he didn't intervene. He didn't intervene when Cain killed Abel. He didn't intervene when David killed Uriah the Hittite. He didn't intervene when Saul was trying to kill David. Now, are there certain situations that he orchestrates to bring his will to pass? Sure. We read one the other day. He said, hey, man, he gave Samson a mind to want that Philistine woman as a means so he could kill the Philistines. But guess what? Samson still wanted that woman, though. That's right. He ain't stop Abner from getting killed. He ain't stop Amasa from getting killed. And then with that one there, he stopped Amalek from sinning against him. Why? Because he knew this was a just man. He knew this man didn't do this from any folly in his heart. And even with that, he came and visited him in a dream and told him, hey, boy, don't do that, boy. It's going to be ugly for you now. And even with that, Amalek still had to listen. But you know why he knew Amalek would live? I already know what type of heart you got. Just like most of you have children, you know what your children would do and they wouldn't do. That's why you don't give your children certain tasks. Yeah, most people who in this word ain't got no integrity. These niggas faking. You know what I'm talking about? Niggas is faking, man. We had a conversation earlier. This John real, right? And it's funny to me because I don't really hear people talk like this out loud. But like they say, he wouldn't be a homosexual. It's only the word that's stopping him from being a punk. Boy, you a punk. Because that's your desire. Put you in the right situation and circumstance, and you're going to have sex with a man. Or I don't commit adultery because of the Bible. Put you in the right situation and circumstance, and you're going to sleep with another man's wife because that's your desire. That's what you want to do. That's why he tell you got to have a new heart and a new spirit, because then your desire won't be to that. That's why I say you got to serve him with a ready heart and a willing mind. That means you got to take pleasure in him, because when you take pleasure in him, you won't have no delight in that. That's why I say you got to be born again, because that which is flesh, and that which is ruach is ruach. If you born of God, you only going to have the desire of God, because that's going to take you to 1 Corinthians 13, that, love rejoice not in iniquity. You know what I'm talking about? It rejoices in the truth. It rejoices in the faithfulness of God. Like, that's wild. I've never heard anybody say that. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I know the word constrain your behavior, because you could have, until you cast down your thoughts and bring them into captivity, because you can have a thought in your mind, man, I'm finna go around here and do such and such. And you be like, no, I'm not finna do that, because my desire is to God. But to say, if it wasn't for the word, I would be doing X, Y, Z. Oh, yeah, you trying to put old wine in a new bottle. Oh, that bottle gonna buzz. You saying they that are absolutely have a Mashiach have crucified those affections in love. Well, you trying to put that bottle gonna buzz, boy, you gonna do some wicked stuff. Boy, that's in you, boy. See, that goes in when I tell you, you can't modify behavior. You have to mortify it. You got to kill it. See, modifications will lead to some sinning when there's some stimulation. You understand what I'm telling you? You get stimulated in the right way, that desire for whatever that is going to be greater than your desire to God. You better serve him with a ready heart and a willing mind. The man done gave you the playbook. But we don't care about that. You know what I'm saying? Niggas care about pushing whatever doctrine they trying to push on whatever given day. None of this information benefits anyone to overcome sin, overcome the world, or overcome their flesh. That's not the tools that people looking for. People looking for the tools. See, even when I shared what that lady said about certain terms to show that you have capacity versus running away and hiding. That's literally what the Lord prayed for his apostles, and then for those who would believe on him. He said, I don't pray that you take him out of the world, but that you keep him from the evil. He said, be a good cheer. In the world you'll have tribulation, but I've overcome the world. That means he's giving you the tools to have the capacity to be able to endure in a treacherous location and situation, that you don't lose your salvation. But nobody wants to have the capacity to endure. So you're not getting the information to be able to have the capacity to endure. Because you will face certain situations and circumstances because you are human. But this is the reality. If you mortify your members and put to death, as Solomon said, every man know the plague of his own heart. If you put to death the desires of your inward man that only you know, then there's no temptation that would take you. So you would be able to resist yourself, the adversary, another person in the faith, and it would flee from you. He said that is why, indeed, that is why the first commandment is to love him with all your heart, all your might, and all your soul. Because your pleasure and desire would be to him. But this is not people's pleasure. And just like you hear people say, oh, if I found out I wasn't an Israelite, I wouldn't be doing it. You ain't doing it now. Because that's some wild stuff to say out your mouth. You didn't do this for the love of God. You did this because you thought this made you somebody. Yeah, that's wild. I've heard people say that. I heard people say, if I found out I was a Gentile, I wouldn't serve God anymore. I'm like, you niggas is wild. Because how are they taught? They're taught that if you're not an Israelite, you ain't got nothing coming. So of course they're going to have that type of mind frame. Because that's what they've been taught, and they believe that to be true. And guess what? That's highly unfortunate. The Epistle of James, chapter 1, verse 12. Then Isaiah 66 and 4. Baruch the man that endured temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. Let no man say, when he is tempted, I am tempted of Elohim. For Elohim cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempt he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Then when the lust have conceived, it bring forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bring forth death. Do not err, my beloved brethren. At the end of the day, whatever temptation and enticing you got, that's because that's where your desire lies. If your desire is to God, then you won't have those problems. That's why I told you, when you look at Mashiach being tempted, because he said, you are those who were with me in my temptation. He wasn't tempted like how people dudes got their mindset, tempted by some yams, tempted about this, that, there, and the third. Well, he was tempted to hold fast to the word that had been promised, the word that had been prophesied, to fulfill what is written of you, so you would do your Father's will and not your own. That's why I said I didn't come down to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me. Even when he prayed for the cup to pass, he said, not my will, but your will be done. That means this is someone who was wholly submitted and given over to a particular task. I haven't mentioned this in years, but at any given time, he could have did the opposite. Just like anybody else, he was in the flesh. He could have done the opposite. He could have done the opposite. He could say, man, I ain't going around them, man. They ain't finna hang me. I ain't going. He could have called for them 12 legions of Malachim. He could have told the apostles to fight. He could have told them people, nah, I ain't the one you're looking for. He could have did all of that. He didn't do it because his pleasure was to his Father and not himself. Why? Because love seek not our own. My God, today. Back to Isaiah 66. Dwayne Dwayne. 66 and 4. Isaiah. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. I will also choose their delusions for them, and I will bring their fears upon them, because when I called, none did answer. And when I spake, they did not hear, but they did evil before my eyes, and chose in which I delighted not. Hear the word of Yahuwah, you that tremble at his words. Your brethren that hated you and cast you out for my name's sake, let Yahuwah be esteemed. He shall appear to your joy, and they shall be ashamed. See, this takes this back to the synagogue of Satan. See, let's read Revelation 3:9 and 2:9 now. 1 Timothy 2:22. Let me see what that says before I get over there, because I'm right by it. First Timothy 2:22. Oh, you meant 2:12. Because ain't no 2:22 in there. Or maybe you meant 2 Timothy 2:22. Yeah, 2 Timothy 2:22. Flee also youthful lusts, but follow righteousness, faith, love, shalom, with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart. And we dealt with that years ago, as it pertains to when they were coming out of Egypt, and what he was trying to teach them, and what Yahushua son of Nun told them, which was to flee from youthful lust. What is a youthful lust? What does that even mean? Well, let's look and see. 2 Timothy 2:22 is where we at with it. When you look at youthful, this is neretekos, peculiar to an age of youth, youthful, young, youthful. When you look at lust, in Hebrew, lust got about 3 different definitions. It's not always bad. But this one here is epithema, and this is bad. This is a craving, a longing for that which is forbidden. So you have to flee from the things that you desired when you were younger that you now learn are forbidden. A lot of dudes get caught up with women who they know that's a forbidden woman for you. And when I say a forbidden woman, I ain't talking about a woman who married to another man. If you've been living long enough, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You can have a woman you have an affinity towards, a desire towards, but you know full well, but you ain't got no business fooled up with that woman, man. Ain't nothing good gonna come from that woman, man. You don't need her. You don't need to be fooled up with her. But you long for her, you crave her, and then you get in a situation, boy, and you might get yourself caught up in the cobra clutch, man, and destroy your whole life. Does that line up with Jose when he said, "No, that's a little different"? You know what I'm saying? That's a little different, because that's going. Of course, Matthew tell you that's testifying of Mashiach coming out of Egypt. You know what I'm talking about? So that's a little different. You know what I'm saying? Telling you, man. Telling you. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't come across. A lot of men don't know what that is like. Hey, boy, you can't be fooled up with her, boy. You know what I'm talking about? You can't be fooled up with her, man. A good brother told me this here, man, a while back, that he was in that type of situation. A lot of brothers get caught up in the cross by doubling back with a chick you used to fool with when you were young. You know what I'm talking about? You had a desire for her, but you see, like, what? Don't do it. Don't do it. That's part of the reason why I told you the other day, man. That's why you can't be. That's why, you know what I'm saying, a certain period of time of semen retention good, man. I'm trying to tell you. You know what I'm saying? Because it keep your virality up, man. You know what I'm saying? Keep you on your toes. When you always releasing your life force like that all the time, man, you're gonna be weak in the flesh a lot. That ain't just no joke. You know what I'm talking about? Because I'm telling you something real, man. You can say you love your old lady all you want to, but you sure better love God more than you love her. Because, boy, I'm talking about, boy, pleasure catch up with you at the right time, boy, when you're in a weak state, man. And if your mind ain't right, boy, you might find yourself in a situation that you normally wouldn't do. You know what I'm saying? I always tell you this here, man. Solomon was wiser than all of us put together and multiplied by an exponential amount that we couldn't even quantify. You know what I'm talking about? And desire got him in trouble. You know what I'm saying? You could tell yourself, so a whole bunch of stuff sound good, man, like this here, right? Or I wouldn't do this here. Man, that man put you right in the situation, man, and show yourself to be a liar. Especially when you're weak. You know what I'm saying? And you think you might not be weak, boy, but if you're expending your life force on a regular basis, man, I'm telling you, you're gonna be in a weakened state. As a man, you can't be popping your life force out like all the time, man. Sometimes you gotta keep that inside of you, boy. You know what I'm saying? Let that build some strength up in you, man. You know what I'm saying? It teaches discipline on a whole nother level. That's why Paul wrote that, amen. Unless it's for a time of prayer and fasting, holler at your wife. Yeah, because sometimes you might need to check this out, baby. I need to come over here. I need to do some praying and some fasting. I ain't got time to be sitting up in your face trying to climb up on top of you like that. I need to make sure my strength and resolve is correct. And that's real, man. You know what I'm talking about? And if she don't understand that, because see, it's different. I'm about to tell you something, man. She get more from your life force than you get expending it. And if you don't understand that, that means that pleasure is too similarly rooted in your brain. And you don't actually understand the power of the life force that currently resides in you. You know what I'm talking about? That junk is powerful to your mind, body, and spirit, whether you know it or not. You know what I'm talking about? And that's why that man told you that. Because if you can't cease from doing that, that means you ain't even praying and fasting like you need to where you have a separation or where you can strengthen yourself. Because that's a whole nother play, man. That's why that's mentioned in there. And that's why he said you just can't go off and do it. You got to let your old lady know what time it is. The same way she might need a time of separation. And if you don't want her to be separated, you know what I'm talking about? So she can pray and fast because the only thing you worry about is expended life force. You need to reassess yourself because your priorities wrong. Where I was going at? I don't even remember. Oh, Revelation 2:9, 3 and 9. Revelation 2:9. I know your works and tribulation and poverty, but you are rich. And the blasphemy of them which say they are Yahudim and are not, in the synagogue of Hashatan. Now, this is what he's writing to Sardis. He adds a little more in Sardis. I'm sorry, this is what he's writing to Philadelphia. My apologies. In verse 9. This is to Philadelphia. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Philadelphia is the only assembly out of the 7 that Yahushua did not rebuke. The other 6 all got rebuked. Philadelphia did not get rebuked. And this is what he had to say to Philadelphia. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Hashatan, which say they are Yahudim and are not, but do lie. And behold, I will make them come to worship before your feet and to know that I have loved you. Now, he said he going to make these people come do this here, man. Yeah, I just read 3 and 9 just now. He just let these people know that he going to call these people to bow down so that you know that. Let me tell you something. No one can be of the synagogue of Satan professing to be a Yahudim and not actually be one. And not actually be one. By blood. They don't play, ain't no spiritual Yahudim and all that other stuff that people playing with. Yeah, he is a Yahudim, which is one inwardly, whose circumcision is of the heart and not of the flesh. But then he also told you to the Yahudim first and also to the Goyim or to the Gentile, to the nations. So when he's telling you this, come on to John 8:44. Because he didn't say this to no nations. He said this to Israelites. He said this to Jews when he said this. It wasn't no strangers around when he said this. So this ain't talking about no people with no funny hats and no doggone side locks or none of that there like people want to put out to you, which causes you to be carnal and you missing the point. Because a lot of dudes sit around the synagogue of Satan every Sabbath. Yeah. I'm going to make it 8 and 39 because that's how I feel. John 8 and 39. They answered and said unto him, Abraham is our Abba. Yahushua said unto them, if you were Abraham's sons, you would do the works of Abraham. Now we know what are the works of Abraham. Abraham believed Yahuwah and he counted it to him for righteousness. Brother, asked this the other day. Did I believe that Abraham would sacrifice Isaac if the Malachim didn't intervene? Absolutely, I do. You know why? Because Hebrew 11 said that Abraham believed that Yahuwah would even raise Isaac up from the dead because he made a promise to him, and he believed that the man would fulfill the promise. Now, see, that's a level of faith that most individuals don't have because that element that's in Hebrews 11 isn't mentioned because it is not detailed in Genesis that he had this thought process. Again, when you're dealing with the apostles and some of these epistle letters, they are getting revelation from Yahushua HaMashiach that's not contained. And they're expounding on that, or they're writing about that. Peace, Brother Joseph, man, to cause the hearer to understand a point. That's how serious that this man believed him. And then you have to sit back and pause on that. If he told him, in Isaac your seed shall be called, of course he would have confidence in this man to fulfill what he said. Now, he told me to kill my son and it's over with. Nah, he'll raise him from the dead because he gonna do what he told me he was gonna do. Now, some people will look at, I don't want no God who will make me do this, that, there, and the third. And that's fine if that's how you want to see it. And that's probably why he don't fool with you in that capacity. You know what I'm saying? Because of course he ain't going to have the man offering to him. He wanted, this is a situation where, hey man, your heart get proved. What's in there? Abraham was faithful. That's what you've seen. It wasn't about the offering of the child. It was the faithfulness of the hearer. So when you look at it in the landscape of how things go out here with this word, man, this man don't fool with a lot of these niggas because they don't fool with him. They don't rock with him. I ain't even talking about the aspect of sinning or not sinning. They don't trust the man. They don't believe in the man. They don't have a hope or expectation of reward from the man. They're not faithful to him, so he won't be faithful to you. The man say his eyes go to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong on behalf of those whose heart is perfect towards him. Most people's heart's not perfect towards him. Now, it's one thing if you moving to overcome your unbelief or to perfect your love or to perfect your faith, but these niggas ain't even doing that. These niggas playing. Like these niggas is literally doing what masturbation is. They're playing with themselves and they're going to screw themselves in the end. Because you're going to come up looking stupid with shame in your face. Like when somebody walked in the room and caught you. Now you're feeling bad. Now you're looking dumb. You've been exposed that you a pervert. But you're not a pervert in sexual activity. You a pervert in word, deed, and truth. That's what type of pervert you is. You pervert righteousness on a day-to-day basis. It say Genesis 22:5 insinuated that he would lead, that he would resurrect them from the dead. And that's what you got to look at, man. Man, you can't get caught up in what these people got going on out here, blood. I promise you can't. Man, you get caught up with what these people got going on, man, you're going to lose your soul, man. You're going to lose your soul, man. These people don't care about nothing other than putting on an Academy Award-winning performance. And that's it. And selling bad dope. But nevertheless, John 8 and 30, 8 and 40. But now you seek to kill me, a man which have told you the truth, which I've heard of Elohim. This did not Abraham. You do the deeds of your father. They said to him, we be not born of fornication. We have one father, Elohim. Yahushua said unto them, if Elohim were your father, you would love me. For I proceed forth and came from Elohim. Neither came of myself, but he sent me. Why do you not understand my speech? Because you cannot hear my word. You are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. For he was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. And when he speak a lie, he speak of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. And because I tell you the truth, you believe me not. Which of you convince me of a sin? And if I say the truth, why do you not believe me? He that is of Elohim hears Elohim's words. You therefore hear not, because you're not of Elohim. Now, I just finished that all the way out on general principle. But this the play. This the play I want you to pick up on. You dig? When this man says right here, you are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. Where would you go at into the law to show forth that the lust of your father ye will do? What would you expound out of the law for that? You dig? Talk to me. Walk with me. Let me know what you think. I'm giving y'all some time. Talk to me though. With Cain count? No. I'm not looking for an example of someone doing it. What we're looking at is, where would you derive that from, that you above your father? You have to establish, where did his lust come from? Train up a child in the way she go, he not departed. I would see why you would say that. The sin of the father, the sin of what you thinking about, and I can see why you would say that. But listen, what was the curse of the serpent? What was he cursed? What was the curse that was laid upon the serpent? To go upon his belly. What does that mean? To go upon his belly. What does that mean? I tell your mama bring that charger in here, because this thing finna die. Yes. Remember that Paul told you that their God is their belly and they mind earthly things. So when you sit back and you look at it, the lust of the devil are earthly things, because God is in heaven. Slow down. What you in a hurry for? You say when he sold his birthright. Now think about that for a moment. What are some of the lusts of the devil? Well, the lust of the devil is going to be anything that is contrary to the will, righteousness, kadoshness, and faithfulness of Yahuwah. Anything that is carnal, anything that is sensual, anything that is earthy. All of those things. So when you turn around and you look at the lust of your father, ye will do. So pause. Psalms 55. Now, of course, I mentioned Psalms 55, but I'm just going to plenty of times. I just want to use this as an example. Nothing, just get the laptop charger. I don't know all that. You trying to do too much. Keep it simple. Psalms 55 and 11. Yeah, see, you well, now I mentioned something else, right? But even with that one there, that may not have been wickedness in Sechem heart, because he wanted to marry that woman. He just didn't do it according to the due order. He was out of pocket with it. He said, wickedness is in the midst thereof. Matter of fact, let me back this up, right? This is verse 9. Now he's referring to Jerusalem. This is Psalms 55 and 9. Destroy, O Lord, and divide their tongues, for I've seen violence and strife in the city. Day and night they go about it. upon the walls thereof, mischief also, sorrow in the midst of it, wickedness in the midst thereof, deceit and guile depart not from her streets. Now he told you that he was a liar and the father of it. You know what it said? You know, a naughty tongue, wicked man give ear to lies and a naughty tongue, as is written in Proverbs. He say, for it was not an enemy that reproached me, then I could have borne it. Neither was he that hated me that did magnify himself against me, then I would have hid myself. But it was a man, my equal, my guide, my acquaintance. We took sweet counsel together and walked into the house of Elohim in company. Now, this man would be considered to be of the synagogue of Satan based on how he described him. Well, then you ask your mama where it's at. Why do you make things difficult? If you can't find it, then you say, hey, I don't know where it's at. So just ask your mama. So with that being said, right? Peace, man. Oh, for sure. For sure. So check it, right? So when you look at somebody who's of the synagogue of Satan and some of those things that was mentioned, Esau selling his birthright because he wasn't faithful, Cain with murdering, you know what I'm saying? Ahab with taking someone's landmark, people with lying, all these things. These are people inside the house. He refers to them as the synagogue of Satan because they're the house of the adversary. But not because they're the house of the adversary. What does that mean? What would they been called before then? What would they would have been called before then in ancient times? If they weren't called the synagogue of Satan beforehand, what would they have been called? That's it. They would have been called sons of Belial, worthless. Let me get that for y'all. The definition of Belial, that is, for those who may not know. Now, Belial, worthlessness, worthless, good for nothing, unprofitable, base fellow, wicked, evil, naughty, ungodly men, wicked, worthlessness, without profit. So being called of the house of Satan is the same as being called of the house of Belial. If you're of the house of Belial, you are worthless. You don't see them going around. You don't read in multiple places where other nations were called of the sons of Belial. It was usually Israelites who were referred to as sons of Belial. Let me read you some of the passages where that's at. Do that for you. Come over here and walk with me. This is Deuteronomy 13:13. Men, the children of Belial, are gone out from among you, and you've withdrawn the inhabitants of their city, saying, let us go and serve other gods which you have not known. Then you shall inquire and make search and ask diligently, and behold, if it be the truth, the thing certain that such abomination is wrought among you, then you shall surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and all that is therein, and the cattle thereof, with the edge of the sword. Now, let's take a look at it. I'm not going to run down every place. Now, of course, you know in Judges 19, those men who were trying to sexually assault the priest were described as men of Belial. Remember, Eli's sons were called sons of Belial because they did not know Yahuwah. You can read in 1 Samuel 10 where the people did not want to give gifts to Saul because come over here to 1 Samuel 10 and 27. I just take a look at it so you can see this here. So you can see that when you the synagogue of Satan, why he's gonna say he gonna make these people bow down because these are people who gonna persecute you. These are the people who are going to slander you and things of this sort because that's what they do. 1 Samuel 10 and 25. Then Samuel told the people the manner of the kingdom and wrote in a book and laid it up before Yahuwah. And Samuel sent all the people away, every man to his house. And Saul also went home to Gibeah, and there with him a band of men whose hearts Elohim had touched. But the sons of Belial said, how shall this man save us? And they despised him. And they brought him no presents, but he held his peace. The same way that them people despised Yahushua. They said, how can this man save us? They despised him. Yes, that is correct. Even in 1 Samuel 25 with Abigail, she called Nabal a son of Belial. In 1 Samuel 30 and 22, let's take a look at that. Make it 19 or 18. 1 Samuel 30 and 18. And David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away, and David rescued his 2 wives. There was nothing lacking to them, neither small nor great, neither sons nor daughters, neither spoil nor any that they had not had taken to them. David recovered all. And David took all the flocks and the herds they drave before those cattle and said, this David spoiled. David came to 200 men, which were so faint that they could not follow David, whom they had made also abide at the brook of Besor. And they went forth to meet David and to meet the people that were with him. And when David came near the people, he saluted them. Then answered all the wicked men and of Belial, of those that went with David, and said, because they went not with us, we will not give them of the spoil that we have recovered, save to every man his wife and his children, that they may lead away and depart. Then said David, you shall not do so, my brethren, for that which you who have given us, who have preserved us and delivered the company that came against us into our hand, for who will hearken unto you in this matter? But as his part that go down to the battle, so shall his part be that tarry by the stuff. They shall part alike. See the selfishness, the ego, the pride, the wickedness that rest in these men's heart, the lust of your father, ye will do. Now, you can also look in 2 Samuel 20 and 1, where it tell you, hey, man, there was a certain dude that said, we have no part in David. And he was called, let's just take a look at it. He was called a son of Belial, because I want you to, we haven't talked about sons of Belial in a long time. So I want you to see what this looks like in action in its totality, of looking at the synagogue of Satan. 2 Samuel 20 and 1. Of course, you know from Naboth that there were sons of Belial that were willing to come up and bear false witness. There happened to be there a man of Belial, whose name Sheba, the son of Bichri, a Benjamite, and he blew a trumpet and said, we have no part in David, neither have we an inheritance in the son of Jesse, every man to his tents, O Yasharal. So every man of Yasharal went up from David and followed Sheba, the son of Bichri, but the men of Yehuda clave unto their king from Jordan even to Jerusalem. I just want you to see this here about who this synagogue of Satan is. It ain't no Jewish people, man. That's nigga teaching, man. That's trash. Book don't line up with that, man. That's just lazy booking, if you would. It's just lazy. It's just easier to say that than to take the time to examine the word and see why is he saying this and where does it come from. 2 Chronicles 13. And you don't give esteem to Yahuwah because he ain't gave us a mind to operate in such a fashion. So therefore, we going to take the time, even if it slows down what we were doing, because you ought to know in its totality and not just making guesses. That you should know fully what's in there, and we'll end it in 2 Samuel 22 of what is the end of the sons of Belial. 2 Chronicles, 13 and 4. And Abiah stood upon Mount Zemaraim, which is in Mount Ephraim, and said, Hear me, you, Jeroboam, and all Yasharal. Ought you not to know that Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal gave the Malkuth over to Yasharal to Dawood forever, even to him and to his sons by a covenant of salt? Yet Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, the servant of Solomon, the son of Dawood, is risen up and have rebelled against his Lord. And there are gathered unto him vain men, the sons of Belial, and have strengthened themselves against Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, when Rehoboam was young and tenderhearted and could not withstand them. Them niggas knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. So that comes from a vengeful heart. Dudes wanting to get revenge. Absolutely. Now let's end this in 2 Samuel 22. So when you see they are the synagogue of Satan, after we read the 2 Samuel 22, we go to John 16. You can see that that's not who he's talking about, because maybe he say your brethren that hated you and cast you out. Yeah, man. So to be honest, I understand why he brought it out that way, because of the time period they were in. It's often the mistake that people make trying to fit the word into current events is always can be a bad look from time to time. It is what it is. Is it 2 Samuel 22? It's 23, my bad. 2 Samuel 23. Because sometimes even too, when you see ungodly men used in the text, it's Belial. You know what I'm saying? And I can grab those ungodly passages where you can see that the word there is going to be Belial. 2 Samuel 23 and 6. He said, But the sons of Belial shall be all of them as thorns thrust away, because they cannot be taken with hands. But the man that shall touch them must be fenced with iron, and the staff with the spear, and they shall be utterly burned with fire in the same place. So now you tell you all the sons of Belial will be burned. So I guess you know what that means. They're going to hell. Now that's tough. Now, of course, in 2 Samuel 22 and 5, that's what we're looking at, where he say, When the waves of death compassed me, the floods of ungodly men made me afraid. The same thing, you can see it in Psalms. He said, that's the same Psalm. I'm sorry. When we read Psalms 101 the other day, when he said, I will set no wicked thing before my eyes, it's Belial there. I will not set nothing worthless before me. You go grab you Proverbs 6 and 12. He tell you a naughty person, a wicked man walk with a froward mouth. So a son of Belial, a man of Belial, he walking around with a perverted word. Tell you in Proverbs 16 and 27 that a Belial man dig up evil, and in his lips there's a burning fire. And he tell you that a son of Belial witness scorn judgment, and the mouth of the wicked devour iniquity. So when you see this here, right, John 16, now you can get a better understanding of who the synagogue of Satan is. Because remember, that's an adversary. Matter of fact, pause. Come to Luke chapter 6 before I read John 16. Because like I said the other day, we gave a short one. This one here, we go more in depth. What does that mean? What does that look like? Luke 6 and 21. I make it 20. Luke 6 and 20. And he lifted up his eyes on his disciples and said, Baruch poor, for yours is the Malkuth Elohim. Baruch that hunger now, for you shall be filled. Baruch that weep now, for you shall laugh. Baruch are you when men shall hate you, and when they shall separate you, and shall reproach you, and cast your name as evil for the son of Adam's sake. Rejoice you in that day and leap for joy, for behold, Your reward great in Shamaim. For in the like manner did their fathers unto the prophets. There wasn't no nations who did that to your fathers, the prophets. Those were those sons of Belial. And guess what? We seen that. You just seen that. You just seen that. The writings bear witness to that. That's what the sons of Belial do. Psalms 55 bear witness to that. So now when you come over here to John 16 and the Lord makes this statement. (16:1). These things have I spoken unto you, that you should not be offended. That they shall put you out of the synagogues. Yea, the time come that whosoever kill you will think that he do Elohim service. And these things will they do unto you, because they have not known the Abba nor me. But these things have I told you, that when the time shall come, you may remember that I told you of them. And these things have I said not unto you at the beginning, because I was with you. So when you come back and you look at, he said, I know your works. So he know your godliness. He know your poverty. And he know your sufferings. He say, but in that poverty, he say you are rich because you know you have durable riches, rich in faith. He say, and he know the synagogue of Satan, because them other Jews, them other brews, them other Israelites sitting right in there with you. But they are the adversary. So the Pharisees said, will they be equivalent to, not necessarily just because of the position they hold, you know what I'm saying? It's necessary, you know, that's a case by case basis. So you don't necessarily want to paint all of them with a broad brush, you know what I'm talking about? But the sons of Belial was like, boy, you niggas wicked. You know what I'm talking about? You unfaithful men. Every Pharisee wasn't unfaithful. Every Sadducee wasn't unfaithful. But most of them were, you know what I'm talking about? According to what we can see in the narrative. No, the sons of Belial are worthless men. Belial means worthless, wicked, ungodly. Remember, Satan means adversary. So if he's saying they're Jews or they're not, it means that they're a house of the adversary. And you are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. That ain't no Jewish people. That's not no white people. That's just easy teaching when you're trying to recruit people and you say, see, they ain't the real Jews. See, he said this. That's trash. That's bad dope. I'm talking about that's straight water whip. You stretch that. But it's going to be more leaning into the aspect of confirmation bias, because it's easier to throw that out there and not validate why he's saying it. Because effectively in John 8:44, he said that already. They are the synagogue of Satan. So what is a synagogue? Well, let's look and see. Yeah, he did, and John the Baptist did, and it was more so to the group who he was talking to, because Nicodemus was a Pharisee. But obviously he rolled with what the Lord had going on. So, you know, it's an individual basis, but as a collective, they just were referred to that. Absolutely, Joseph. Absolutely. But I would just be speaking more on the micro level. We don't want to paint them all with a broad brush. A synagogue, sum ageoge, a bringing together, a gathering of fruits, a contracting. In the New Testament, an assembly together of men, an assembly of men, a synagogue, an assembly of Jews formerly to gather to offer a prayer, to listen to the reading and exposition of the scriptures. Assemblies that of that sort were held every Shabbat and feast day, and afterwards also on the second and fifth days of every week. Name transferred to an assembly of Christians formerly gathered together for religious purposes. The buildings where those solemn Jewish assemblies are held. Synagogues seem to date their origin from the Babylonian exile in the time of Yahushua and the apostles. Every town, not only in Palestine, but also among the Gentiles, if contained a considerable number of Jewish inhabitants, had at least one synagogue. The larger towns, several or even many. They were also used for trials and inflicting punishment. So more importantly, this is When he tell you this is assembly, it's going to take you back to the congregation. So you are of the congregation of Satan. So hold on, let me get you the Hebrew word for congregation. And of course, this is Adah, Ayin Dalit, and hey, this is a congregation, this is a gathering, this is a multitude, this is a company, this is an assembly, a family, a crowd. This is the company of Satan. That's what they are. You know what I'm talking about? That's what they are. Now, the word synagogue in Hebrew is only in here once. It's in Psalms. I think it's Psalm 68. My God, today. Psalm 74. Psalm 74 and 8 is where it's at. That Hebrew word for synagogues is going to be moad, and that's an appointed place, a tent of meeting, like in the wilderness. You know what I'm talking about? So when you look at that, that's what that means. That's not white people. That's unbelieving Israelites. Let's read that one more time in Isaiah 65 and what he said, 66, excuse me, and what he said. 66 and 5. Hear the word of Yahuwah, you that tremble at his word. Your brethren that hated you and cast you out for my name's sake said, let Yahuwah be esteemed. He shall appear to your joy and they shall be ashamed. Remember, he said, I know your tribulation. What you think they was getting troubled by? He said, I'm going to throw them people out. They're going to throw you out. They're going to trouble you. We didn't even read the verse and say some of you going to be cast into prison and be tried, but be faithful unto death, and you'll get a crown of life. Listen, man, when you look at the text, who killed the prophets? It wasn't no strangers. But let's get back to him delivering. 66 and 6. A voice of noise from the city, a voice from the temple, a voice of Yahuwah that render recompense to his enemies before she travailed. And brought forth before her pain came, she was delivered of a man child. Who have heard such a thing? Who have seen such things? Shall the earth be made to bring forth in one day? Shall a nation be born at once? For soon as Zion travailed, she brought forth her children. Shall I bring to the birth and not cause to bring forth, say Yahuwah? Shall I cause to bring forth and shut the womb, saith Yo Elohim? Now, we were in Jeremiah 15 as it pertains to this, as it speaks to Mashiach giving birth. All you have to do is look. When Adam had Eve taken out of her side, he closed that side up. But when Mashiach was dead and he hit him in the side, he didn't close that hole up so that he could bring forth. This also ties into, most of you already know this, about the multitude that rose when he rose. But we looking at this from in Matthew 27. But we're looking at this as it pertains to Jeremiah 15 and 9. She that have borne 7 languish. So now we sitting back looking at it in Isaiah 66, he's bringing forth, because it says, she that born 7 have languished. What does it mean to languish? Well, languisheth, as I put in there. Amal, to be weak, to languish, to be exhausted, to grow feeble, to be weak, to droop. You don't think this man had became weak? We just read he gave up the ghost. And they tell you she have given up the ghost, and her son go down while it is yet day. She have been ashamed and confounded. Now you can see clearly this is pointing to Mashiach's death. It also show you that it pointing to him giving birth. It also will take you to Rachel. Rachel name mean Ulam, or how the lamb died giving birth to Benjamin, or the son of my right hand, or the son of my affliction. Oh, my lamb. Praise Yahuwah. See, that's a whole another thing when you take each one of these elements and you bring this together, because he's birthing these assemblies, if you would. Now, why is this important that he birthed these assemblies, and he that is dead and that is alive? Because once he's alive, they can be married unto another, even unto Mashiach. That's how he's espoused you to Mashiach as a chaste virgin, you know, being perfect, having integrity, being pure and without sin and whatnot. So when you take that into account, this is how he is able to, those 7 women are able to be called by his name to take away their dishonor or their reproach. Because he had to be dead and then be alive in order to take away that sin. He had to be able to die to bring forth those 7, so that those 7 women could be called by his name for their sin to be removed. Taking you back to Exodus 2, which we hadn't read tonight, about when he watered the flocks. Now you be watered with the Ruach. That's going to tie back to what we need to read in Numbers 24, when he talking about pouring out buckets of water on his seed. Yeah. But what's next? Back to Revelation 2, if you will. Perfectly, that made sense. And let Yahuwah be esteemed. So 2 and 8. Book of Revelation. And unto the Malachim of the synagogue in Smyrna write, these things saith the first and the last, which was dead and is alive. I know your works in tribulation and poverty, but you are rich. And the blasphemy of them which say they are Yahudim and are not, but of the synagogue of Hashatan. For none of thee fear none of those things which you shall suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. Jeremiah was cast into prison. Micaiah was cast into prison. Who cast them into prison? The house of the adversary, which happened to be Jews. That was a Jew who cast Jeremiah into prison. That was Ahab them cast Micaiah into prison and gave him the water of sorrows and the bread of affliction. That wasn't no stranger. That you may be tried, that you might be proved. And you shall have tribulation 10 days. Be you faithful unto death, and I will give you a crown of life. He that have an ear, let him hear. What the Ruach saith unto the assemblies, he that overcomes shall not be hurt of the second death. Now we ended that in Isaiah 25 and 8. That he swallowed up death and victory. If you were able to take hold of the victory which is in Yahushua HaMashiach, the same way that we read with the synagogue in Ephesus, if you overcome, you could eat from the tree of life. Because if you eat from the tree of life, how could the second death touch you? Because you know, he said, thus they eat from the tree of life and live forever. Because the law of the Ruach has freed me from the law of sin and death. And where there is no sin, there is no death. And where there is no death, there is no second death. Because there's no condemnation in Yahushua HaMashiach at all, whatsoever, in any shape, form, or circumstance. And you could obviously see that in Genesis with Adam, because he would have not been condemned if he would have remained in Yahuwah. What condemnation would he have been able to receive? Not now, in any shape, form, or fashion. But we're going to stop right here, because I'm not going to dive into Pergamos and try to jam that here. You know, we had a lot of technical difficulties. It's almost 10 o'clock. So y'all willing, Pergamos is where we will begin on the Shabbat. So hallelujah for Yahushua and the word. Prayerfully, y'all understood all of that. We would have got the Pergamos if we wouldn't have had to deal with what we had to deal with. But it is what it is. Let Yahuwah be esteemed. But we'll deal with Pergamos on the Shabbat, man. I appreciate y'all, and I bless y'all in the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. I love y'all. Yahuwah willing, man. We're going to be back at it on the Shabbat and make it do what it do. Shalom, Sister Regina. Prayerfully, you understood all that. Peace, Brother Joseph, man. Shalom, man. So if it's something you didn't understand, just let it be known, and we can go back over it. Peace, Brother Omar. So yeah, again, bless y'all the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. I love y'all, and Yahuwah willing, till the next time. Just wait. Cancel you. Amen, man. Love you too, bro. Yes, sir. So hold it down, my G.